What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Elliott Delp. This is Sparky, back again like you never left.
I did.
And today we're going to be talking about night vision for beginners, kind of how to get into it, and what some expectations to have when discussing night vision and diving into the massive realm of shooting and functioning at night.
It's some FUD lore coming up.
But before we do, we would like to give a big shout out to the sponsor of the channel, Basement Operator Company. Unzip it, Sparky. Woo!
Wham.
Basement Operator Company is our apparel line. They can go to basementoperator.com, and there you can find merch, you can find builds, builds and stickers, and our affiliate links. So make sure to go to basementoperator.com and check that out. Another big supporter of the channel is Velocity Ammo. You can't miss out on them. They fund the Freedom Seeds for everything. Even what we're about to talk about next, they funded the Freedom Seeds for that. And that brings us to our next topic. Jawless Hog Tactical and HRT. We would like to give a big thank you to them. They brought us into the night vision world, and we participated. Dipped our toes in it. We participated in a Jawless Hog Tactical
night vision operator course.
Night vision operator course up in Ohio, and they are the basis for a lot of this. We'll be referencing that class a lot, and a lot of the knowledge that we learned and are trying to pass on to you will be because of that class. Big thank you to Shepard and Blue for that. All right, those are the two instructors there. All right, Sparky. So intro to night vision. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, to take in when you are doing night vision stuff. There's a lot to learn in terms of just terminology.
Yeah. It's a big learning curve.
Big learning curve. There's a lot to learn in terms of terminology, how to set up your firearm, what kind of things are relevant, like what you should and shouldn't have on a night vision setup for a firearm.
Even before you get to that, it's who's night vision for?
Yeah, and who is night, a very good point.
That's what you got to start with.
And who is night vision for? There's just a lot to it, and we're going to go very overview here.
So we're just going to talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it, and we're not going to dive super in depth. We're not going to be talking about, how to set up your gain or a bunch of different, very detail oriented stuff, because that's not our job. We cannot really advise you on that because we're not experts on it by any means. All right. But we do want to kind of brief over a lot of it and reference some things to Jawless Hog and that class that we took. And kind of go on from there. So like you said, and I think it would be a great starting point, is who is night vision for? Why do you have night vision, and what are the use cases of it? So give me your opinions on it, because we were both very new to it. You were even more new to it than I was.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence with it. I don't think I'd ever want it.
Yeah.
One, it's outrageously expensive. If you're a typical gun guy, dropping $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 on some nods isn't practical for your everyday gun buyer. You know how many guns I can buy with $15,000?
So 50 cal?
I was like, you know what I can do with that?
That's a very valid point.
So I don't. If you're average Joe, it's not practical by any stretch of imagination. If you want to get into predator hunting, I could see where it could be nice, but then again, you're going to get into night vision plus thermal, so that's a whole nother rabbit trail to go down, rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
So, but it was awfully dang cool. I could see why people would want it, and it made me, coming away from the course, I was like, okay, I could see why people would want this.
Yeah.
And I could see myself, if I had that kind of money to throw around, I could see myself buying it. But still, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
It's just not practical for your everyday Joe. If you're law enforcement, different story.
Oh yeah.
Way different story.
Totally different story. I think it's a very valuable tool to have in your arsenal if you can afford it.
Yes. Into the world scenario.
Yeah, into the world scenario, or if you have that kind of money to play for predator hunting. I had some armor sight BNVD 40s. Absolutely insane. Sparky got stuck with the PBS 14 monopod.
Not a fan.
Kind of got screwed on that end. But I got the armor sights, and they were just absolutely insane.
He didn't share neither.
No, I didn't share. Mine were binos. They were very, very high quality and
dual tube.
Dual tube. Could see ambient light, did everything it needed to do. There wasn't a lot of need for an illuminator of any kind. It was a very, very eye-opening eye-opening experience because that was the first time we had spent time under actual Gen 3 night vision. All of my night vision experience was, you know, ATN scopes and Sightmark monopods that were digital night vision, which digital night vision versus real night vision is a whole video in itself.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of this stuff is.
We're doing a real brief.
Yeah, real brief that's going to still be 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So the use case is really up to the individual, but like you said, and I completely agree, for your vast majority of people, dedicating that much money is crazy. Now, the good thing with Jawless Hog is, like, we went up there, you know, wasn't our night vision, they were rentals. And that's one of the things, like, if you're taking a class, I don't think it's an awful idea to take a class if you're thinking about night vision, because, you know, that's something that would the investment in the class.
You're gonna take away more than just a night vision from the class.
And it'll be like, can I really use this?
Yeah.
Is it a usable thing for me? And then invest the money in it.
Because Jawless Hog, you were able to borrow, we were able to use their helmets, their night vision, and their IR lasers on the firearm.
Yeah, and they're doing that. They rent them out when they do it. So
it's fantastic.
And I'm sure other companies would
probably do something. I would assume there's more than just them do it that way, but it definitely was for the money. Before you dump a bunch of money into night vision, you're better off spending however much a class is doing that.
Exactly, and I would completely agree. Now that we've talked about use case, let's talk about night vision itself a little bit, and kind of briefly go over, you know, digital versus like single tube, dual tube, and then the phosphorus aspect of it all, and just briefly hit all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once over.
Yeah, once over. The difference and the main difference between digital night vision and real night vision, and I say real, it's all real, but traditional night vision, as digital night vision is essentially a camera within an optic or some sort of monocular that picks up IR light. They're not traditionally used in a very tactical sense. They're very much at least right now, in a hunting aspect. A lot of people use them for hunting just because how quickly they refresh is not...
They lag a little bit.
Yeah, they lag a little bit.
They're heavier.
And they're heavier. They're not as efficient.
Yeah, it's projecting on a little screen.
Yeah.
In front of your face.
Yeah, and they're not as efficient, and they just don't work as great as traditional phosphorus tubes. So the other thing is phosphorus tubes. That is what night vision has been for like ever. There's Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. Which is current. Technically, there's not a Gen 4 or anything yet officially. US government probably has like Gen 7 at this point. And then there's also stuff that is night vision with thermal overlay, which is just a whole other rabbit trail. A whole other rabbit trail. But essentially the phosphorus tubes allow light to come in and enhance the
ambient light.
The ambient light. And I mean, when I say there is an absolute world of difference between digital night vision and real traditional night vision.
The traditional was much clearer, I thought.
It's insane. Like when we go hog hunting and we are using digital optics, if you do not have an IR illuminator,
you got nothing.
You got nothing. You're basically looking at a black screen and you're just like, if the sun is not blasting down or the moon or whatever is not full, digital night vision's crap. But the night we were out there
was clear.
The moon was it was like waning. It wasn't a full moon or anything, I don't think. The ambient light was perfectly fine to illuminate out, and you could see just fine without having any IR illuminator with, you know, traditional night vision. And it really made a world of difference. Now, with that being said, there's a world of price difference between the two. Digital night vision often runs about $1,000. That's
foot in the door.
Yeah, and that's for like scopes and monos and stuff like that. If you want to just touch base in Gen 3 night vision for a single pod, that's like
10.
No, that's for binos.
Oh, okay.
A single PVS 14 probably run you about $2-3 grand, depending on how nice of a tube you want for a Gen 3. But like if you want to go binos, you're sitting at $8,000.
Then you want to go panos.
Then you're sitting at 40.
Yeah, we just keep going.
So the price difference between all of them is massive, okay?
Big jump, big jump.
Very big jump. And that's kind of like just a very brief overview. You can talk about all kinds of different tube specs. You can talk about different resolution with the digital. Like there's a lot to it. And that just segues us into our next kind of thing we want to talk about. And one of the big things they hit on at the Jawless Hog Tactical course was that very first day we were there, we spent most of the time in the classroom, going over terminology, going over zeroing techniques for IR lasers, going over for just how to set up your helmet, how to set up your rifle. There's just a lot of like minute detail oriented things you have to be aware of when you're diving into the realm of night vision.
And they did a fantastic job of not like overwhelming us. Like it was a lot of information.
Yeah.
A lot of information. But they did it in a way that it all built on each other and it progressed in a way that, you know, you remembered it.
Exactly.
Because it's all information you have to know.
Yeah.
So like, because when you get out there and you're actually shooting, you have to know all this stuff. Or at least it makes it a whole lot easier if you do.
Yeah,
so
it makes a lot more sense.
The point earlier, you don't just go buy a night vision and slap it on and, oh, I'm good to go. No, there's a massive learning curve. So the way they did the class, us sitting down for several hours and just going over material and helping us, you know, set everything up was fantastic. I thought they did a great job of giving you all the information you needed and not too much of it and just not overwhelming you.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of fluff either.
No, it was just, hey guys, this is
the important stuff.
Yeah, these are the specs and the details of it. This is what we do in our profession, and these are what other guys do in their profession, and this is the reasons why. So they did a great job of how the Jawless Hog, the way they did it was fantastic.
Yeah, the knowledge transfer was there.
It was perfect.
And, you know, we couldn't have asked for more. And that kind of, you know, the terminology and all of that, watch a bunch of YouTube videos if you're looking to get into it. Like if you go and just buy a $7,000 or $8,000 set of binos off of Optics Planet, Delp gives you 7% off, by the way.
But that kind of money, that's
that saves you a lot. But if you just go buy a $7,000 set, you're not getting all the things because you don't know anything about how mounts work.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're buying a PVS 14 mount versus a dovetail mount, how you mount it on the helmet, you got to do a lot of other research.
How you mount your laser on your rifle.
What kind of zero you want to do.
That I was surprised. I didn't think about that.
I thought about the zero, but I didn't think about doing like a parallel zero.
So when you talk about zero, like parallel zero, and you got like converging zero, like, so.
That's too in the weeds, Sparky. Yeah. We're not going to get into that. That's a little too much. But I guess that does segue into kind of the use of how we started using the night vision.
Yeah.
You know, so after we did our little classroom component, we went out and we got under the nods. And that was the first time Coleman and I had ever been under real night vision. And
everything got way hard real quick.
Everything got way hard real quick. Just doing like very minute things. We passed balls back and forth.
It is tough.
And it's tough. You know, like when we started to do like the soccer balls versus the tennis balls, did we do like a racket ball? I feel like we did 3 different variations of size.
There was like a tennis ball, like everything, like they got progressively smaller. And also just like learning to look under your nods and adjust your nods to where it's not washing out your natural night vision to where you can look under and still see your hands.
Yeah.
Like that was a big thing, like, cause we all stood in a circle facing outward and we're passing the ball around in a circle and you have to be able to use your peripheral vision still and see, cause once you start manipulating a weapon, you gotta be able to see right here. Cause if you got everything cranked up super bright, you can see better, but now you can't see nothing else.
And you know, you talk about weapon manipulation. When you are under night vision, if you are not 110% comfortable with your firearm, I would go ahead and write that bad boy off. Just throw that on the ground and just start walking wherever you're going and hiding.
Because it got tough, because you had to be real deliberate with everything. Because plus you got the weight of the helmet, which most people probably aren't used to. Mm-hmm. And you got the nods hanging off of them. So you can't just whip your head around super easy.
And if you're like doing reloads, it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
Because you can't see directly in front of you. The way the night vision's typically set up is you have like a 10-yard focus to infinity.
Yeah.
So like 10 yards away, you're seeing really clear. You start looking in front of you and it's just...
The night vision was blurry up close. So like you had to look under them and use your peripheral vision to do everything. So you had to, that was something I didn't think about.
Yeah.
You know, so And for me, I had the single tube over my right eye. So when I'm looking down range, it was difficult trying to, with one eye not under night vision and one under night vision, that made stuff a little funky. But like
being poor.
I don't know. Well, you didn't share. But yeah, like you said, if you're not comfortable with your weapon, it's a struggle. Because for that class, I took my DB-15 when I had a hollow stone on it, which was fine. But had a different light and having the IR laser on top,
peck.
having the peck messed with me. Because I'm more of a claw grip kind of guy, wrap around like that.
And you're claw grip at the very front too.
And I'm arm extended. So like when I had that peck up here and the different light, it all just got in the way. So the whole time I was fumbling around trying to find it, I just wasn't comfortable. Yeah. So that's another thing, like, and like how you got your belt and gear situated, you're gonna learn so much about your gear. If you haven't already, you're gonna learn real quick.
Yeah, well, the nighttime aspect really
because it's dark.
Yeah,
you can't look down, and I mean you can look down, but it's dark. You know, you're kind of just need to know.
Yeah, you have to be very familiar.
Yeah, so that was something that was reinforced by taking the class, knowing your equipment, being comfortable with it, and then just
overall, just being familiar with your firearm. Mm-hmm. So now that we've kind of talked about the intro part of it and some of the things we hit on in terms of like the first day, let's talk about actually getting behind and shooting as night vision for beginners and some of the key components.
Some things you learned.
So what I really took away from a lot of it was the reliance on IR lasers.
Yes.
That was something that was...
we didn't expect coming into
Well, yeah, so... You know, you hear a lot about NVG settings on a lot, and I mean a lot of optics, like this EOTech right here, an actual NVG button on it.
It's something that's harped on by manufacturers.
Yeah, it's harped on by manufacturers a lot, and when we got to the course and started to learn a lot, it was like you use the PEC and you use that laser, and that is like a very much a mainstay in terms of your aiming. Now, that's not to say that they completely brushed off aiming through your optic, but it just seemed the way the course was taught that like a lot of stuff is done via the laser.
And I would say a reason for that is most guys' optic setups on the rifles aren't ready for night vision. Even though the optic might have a night vision setting, like this one, would that not be a little too low?
Well, it's got a riser on it.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you could even go higher is what I'm getting at. Like, because if you got tubes on, you can't slap that cheek down there on the rifle because everything's gonna be hitting. Yeah. So like you're holding the firearm much lower than your face, and your optic needs to be higher. You can't really get down on the gun with night vision. Yeah. Really.
Yeah. So the thing that we took away from it was there was a lot of laser usage and reliance on a good PEC or whatever it was. There was a lot of, I guess, importance put on it. And that wasn't something I thought, a lot about coming into it. And, as I am very much a beginner in night vision, that's one of the things that I just wasn't ready for, Yeah. And, looking back on it makes a lot of sense. It was definitely easier to aim with laser because you just see a laser and you kind of just wait until you hit the flash.
Put it on, see the bloop, send around.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, all of this was very rudimentary, basic stuff. Yeah. But I could see a very real use case for it, especially if you flip over, like we were using PECs, if you flip over the illuminator and the laser, when you throw an illuminator on tubes, it's just like...
When you put the illuminator on, it brightens everything.
Yeah.
And you still see your laser. So instead of because that's something I struggled with in the course, was seeing the contrast at 50 plus yards. Real hard time picking out the silhouette target. Struggled tremendously.
Somebody throw a laser out, or throw a illuminator out there and it's just like, oh.
There it is. So that's a feature that I didn't understand, which is probably my own fault. I didn't understand that was an option until about halfway through the course, and the other guys started using it. I was like, well, how come nobody told me that? I was like, so that's just something I've learned from it. But also part of it was for me, the single tube, it messed with me because I still keep both eyes open so I could still see around me. So when I'd be looking down range at a target, stuff was fuzzy. I was having a real hard time seeing contrast.
You know, one of the things I liked about the course is it gave you a better understanding, but the use case of white light as well.
Yes.
We not only did a lot of night vision stuff, we did a lot of white light. They
transitioning between the two.
Exactly. They did a very good job at, you know, when we were taught on how to set up our night vision, you know, setting it where it's just a little higher so you could like tilt your nods up, go white light if you needed to.
And just look under your nods.
Yeah, I thought that was very practical.
Yes.
Because, you know, not every time you have nods on, you're only going to be staying, you know, night vision. Sometimes you got to go white light.
Yeah, because
you know?
the practical application for it was if you're outside using nods and you have to go inside.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you need to be able to either look under them to see what you need to see, or flip them up and use white light, or keep them down and turn on white light, and shooting with both. So they did a fantastic job of showing us the transition and the practical applications of both.
Exactly. And like I said, there's more than we can dive into in this video, but it's just something to consider.
Yeah,
you know,
something I didn't expect.
The use of white light in night vision applications. You
Mm-hmm.
know, how do you feel that your knowledge base of night vision has improved since the course, you think?
I would say I learned an absolute ton, but I didn't know anything to start with. So we started at 0 and only thing went up from there. So, but I still don't know enough. Like, it would take several classes. And just because you do a basic operator's course, night vision operator's course, doesn't mean you're gonna be a pro. Like, you're gonna need several classes and hours of range time. And
to get halfway as proficient as you are during the day. Like,
everything's harder at night. And then the night vision, it's not
so much harder. What? Anyway, yeah, Coleman makes a very valid point. You know, you go into this and you're literally the first day you're like catching balls and trying, and then at the end of it, you're shooting at 100-yard targets on steel. You know, you learn quick, but you still need a lot of time behind a firearm and behind the nods to even become somewhat competent and proficient with it. I mean, just getting used to the gear, the setup, the weight on your neck, and just all of that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, you know, I think that I would stress to new people coming into it is be ready to devote time to it.
It's a big, massive learning curve.
Yeah. And even if you're not always shooting the nods, when you go up to the range, wear your helmet, wear the nods, wear them capped. If they're auto-gated or not, I don't know. But wear them just to get used to them. You know, when you're at home at night and you're walking your dog, actually there's no sound, but, well, there's a little bit, but not a lot. It's not Call of Duty noise.
Click.
Yeah, click. But wear them when you're at home. And, you know, you might, your wife might be like, what are you doing? Well, you just walk around the house with your nods on because it's cool. You know, that's one thing is it takes a lot.
Yeah, like I said, what we did was a basic introductory course. So like we learned an absolute ton, but there's so much more you can learn. And you're gonna continue to learn the more you do it. Like,
yeah, so if you're thinking about night vision, be ready to get just bombarded with information and be ready to spend a lot of time on it.
And money.
Because, well, if you're gonna spend the money on it, if you're gonna spend the money on it, use code Delp at OctusPlanet and save yourself 7%. But dedicate some time to training, dedicate some time to taking a course on it.
Definitely.
We couldn't recommend that aspect of it enough.
Take the course. Because no matter who it's through, take the course.
Yeah, because you need some professional knowledge because if you're just watching YouTube, and I mean, we're not trying to be here telling you, you know, how to operate with nods. This is just trying to tell you some of the things that we feel are important to know going into it. Important things
to realize.
Yeah, philosophy, if anything really, that we feel, you know, you should be aware of.
So what was your biggest takeaway, good or bad, at the end of the course?
My biggest takeaway is if the U.S. government wanted to, they could absolutely just rail us. Because if Gen 3 looks that good, I couldn't imagine what
they're actually using.
Well, they use the thermal overlays. I don't know what that's called. I don't remember. Do you remember the name?
I just remember thermal overlay. That's all I remember.
Yeah. Anyway, my biggest takeaway was probably that. But like in terms of night vision, you know, I would try to get my hands on some night vision prior to spending the money. It's a very big investment. If you are just like a pro LARPer and you really want some night vision, by all means, go ahead and dump the money, use code Delp, save you a little bit. But I mean, for the average person, I don't really see a very heavy use case for it. Now, law enforcement, on the other hand, I all about it. You know, obviously the military is all about night vision as well. But, you know, for your average homie, unless you're like doing some pretty serious predator hunting or you really want to be prepared, it's a heavy investment.
Extremely.
And that's one thing I want to preference. Even T-Rex Arms is starting to preference it. Like, not everybody needs night vision.
No.
And it's the truth. But it is a very cool thing, I will say. Very cool. It makes you cool.
True.
You know? Yeah, so we want to kind of wrap it there. Big thank you to Jawless Hog, and we hope you got something from the video. I know this, like, we knew this wasn't going to be a very information-heavy video. We were trying to be very top down, you know, gloss over a lot of it, just going over kind of.
But if you want to know more, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We are working on getting a pair of nods for the channel. We're going to be trying to get a lot of time behind them because we want to become efficient with the night vision and
not just efficient.
Proficient.
Proficient.
Proficient?
Proficient.
Proficient. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, we're LARPers here, so we gotta assault the flat range. But we're gonna get a set here on the channel so we can use and hopefully get some more time behind and get, you know, better oriented to it and provide you with some more detailed videos because we would love to get into it. Especially for the knowledge transfer to you guys. So we really appreciate it for Jawless Hog and HRT Tactical. And, you know, always thank you to Velocity Ammo. And we'll see you guys on the next one. As always, take some outdoors. Peace.
Nap time.